Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a classic leadership puzzle through the story of a manager named Ananya Kapoor. It's all about that frustrating feeling of having a big title but feeling totally powerless to get things done.
So, let's just jump right in with a question I bet a lot of you have felt at some point. You've got the job title, you've got the team, the budget, everything looks great on paper. But when you actually try to move forward, you keep hitting these invisible walls. Well, that's the heart of the authority paradox.
So this is Ananya. She's the new head of innovation at her company. And look at this. She has everything she could possibly need. A big team of 40 people, a huge budget, and a really clear mandate to go out there and innovate. You'd think she was totally set up for a win.
And yet, her most important project, a new wellness drink, was completely dead in the water. She had the concept down, the business case was solid, her team was fired up and ready to go. But she was stuck because she couldn't get the one thing she really needed, a little bit of help from a department that she didn't manage.
And this is exactly where Ananya learned a really tough lesson. That org chart, with all the neat little boxes and lines, it turns out that's not how work actually gets done in a big company. She had what we call formal authority over her own team, sure, but she had zero real influence to work with anyone else. So what was the holdup? Well, it wasn't personal. All she needed was for the manufacturing team to make one small test batch. But here's the thing, the head of that department was judged on keeping costs down and efficiency up. Ananya's tiny project, as important as it was, would just mess up his numbers. So he wasn't trying to be a bad guy, he was just doing his job and being perfectly rational about it. And so nothing happened. Weeks turned into a month, the project was totally stalled. You can imagine how her team felt, right? They were getting frustrated, losing momentum. Ananya was trapped. She was promoted to be this great collaborator, but her power was stuck inside her own little box.
So what do you do? I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? When you can't just order people to help you, how in the world do you get them to, want to help you? This was the puzzle Ananya had to solve.
Thankfully, Ananya had a great mentor, Pradeep, who gave her this one piece of advice that just changed everything. He told her, you're treating them like a service provider, like a vending machine. What you really need is for them to be a partner, and that just flipped a switch in her brain.
Pradeep introduced her to this idea of relationship capital. Think of it as this hidden currency that's not on any balance sheet. It's the trust, the goodwill, the mutual understanding you build up with people. It's not something you can demand, it's something you have to earn.
And this quote just nails it. Every single interaction you have either adds to your relationship bank account or takes away from it. Every time Ananya got frustrated and escalated the issue, she was actually spending the very capital she desperately needed to build. She was making withdrawals from an account that was already empty.
Okay, so with this totally new way of thinking, Ananya threw out her old playbook. She stopped trying to force things, and instead she got strategic. She came up with this really smart, four-step plan to build the influence she needed from the ground up.
And her first move was brilliant. She just stopped asking. She put her project on hold, drove over to the manufacturing plant, and spent the entire day there with one goal: to just listen, to understand their world, their pressures, what their day was really like.
Now, armed with that understanding, she went back and completely changed her proposal. She suggested setting aside just 1% of their capacity for innovation projects, and this is key, that work wouldn't count against their efficiency scores. Even better, she proposed that the plant managers get bonuses for successful product launches. Suddenly, helping her wasn't a cost to them, it was an opportunity.
She also knew she couldn't do this alone anymore, so she started building a coalition. She got finance to back up the strategic value. She had the sales team show the market demand, and supply chain figured out the logistics. She stopped being a solo act and became a conductor, turning her project into our project.
This table just shows the complete 180 she did. Look at the shift. She went from just sending formal requests to genuinely trying to understand their world. From escalating problems to her boss to building a team of supporters. She stopped just asking for resources and started creating value for everyone. So, did it actually work? Oh yeah, it worked better than she could have imagined. In just 6 months, manufacturing went from being her biggest obstacle to being one of her strongest allies. They were actually inviting her to their planning meetings. Her project got moving again, and pretty soon, her whole innovation pipeline started to flow.
And in the end, Ananya figured it out. She solved the paradox. She learned that real authority, the kind that actually gets things done, isn't something that's given to you with a job title. It's something you have to earn, one relationship at a time.
But you know how it is, right? In leadership, as soon as you solve one big problem, a new one is waiting right around the corner. By mastering the art of influencing people, Anya was about to run headfirst into a completely different kind of challenge.
Which leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In a world that is obsessed with data and metrics and spreadsheets, how do you find the right balance? When do you trust the hard numbers, and when you trust that intuition, that gut feeling you get from building deep relationships? Now that is a paradox for all of us.